This is Eric from Pack Hacker, and today we're taking a look at the NITECORE BP23, which I've been testing for the past 2 weeks. If you find this video helpful, make sure you subscribe so we can continue making content like this to help you travel smarter. Let's dive in. So the main pack material we're working with here is a 600D polyester. It's very durable, it's got a nice little texture to it. It reminds me a bit of Cordura. It's obviously not the name brand Cordura, but it's just very durable. It's a bit stiff, but you can also move it around when you need to. But overall, very happy with that. In a light rain, you're gonna be okay. But if it starts raining for a longer period of time or starts raining harder, you probably want to duck for cover. We've got unbranded zips on this thing, which was a little bit of a surprise because I also tested the BP18, which had YKK zippers. I haven't had any issues with these zippers, but it's just nice to see name brands because you kind of know what you're expecting. There are 2 of them that have water-resistant tracks. We've got this front diagonal zipper here, has a water-resistant track, and then this quick access pocket zipper up here also has a water-resistant track. So if you put, your phone or a book or something like that in the quick access pockets, you are a little bit more protected from the weather. Something else to note with the zipper is that, let me open this real quick. There was a loose thread right here. It's actually still there. I cut it, but it was like a loop. And that got caught in the zipper once, and I was scared that I was going to break the zipper trying to pull on it too hard, so I was just kind of locked out of my bag for a little bit. Eventually I was able to feel the string and pull it out from the zipper head. But there are a few loose threads around this thing, and if it's near the zipper, obviously it can kind of wreak havoc. There's another loose thread right there, but they're not super, in your face or anything like that. They're not even really that noticeable. I was trying to find this one earlier, and it took me a minute to find it just because I knew it was there, but I wasn't sure exactly where it was. But if that's something that bothers you, now you know that this thing is prone to loose threads. But let me flip it over real quick. The hardware, the hard plastic hardware is unbranded as well. No issues with it. It's snappy. It stays closed when you want it to stay closed. And overall, it looks well. It looks nice. It's black and blends in with the rest of this pack. Let me see here. We do have a trolley sleeve or a luggage pass-through right here, and it secures with a hook and loop fastener, so it stays out of the way when you're not using it. But you can also, put it on your rolling luggage if you'd like to. Moving back over to the front side, we've got these attachment loops all over the front and the sides as well. So you can attach a carabiner or a strap or whatever you want to attach. And then we also have this hook and loop fastener on the top and bottom so you can attach your Pack Hacker patch or whatever patch you have around at home that you want to attach. So as we're moving to the back side here, I should note that there are handles on all 4 sides. We've got 2 on these sides, 1 on the top here and 1 on the bottom. So as I'm moving to the back side, I can just grab that handle and whip it over. Makes it easy to grab it and go quickly. None of them have much padding, but that's a way that you can hold and carry the bag. But obviously the main way to hold and carry this bag is as a backpack. And we've got pretty ample padding on the back panel here, and we also have pretty stellar aeration. This thing stayed pretty cool even on warmer days when I was moving quickly, walking with it for a while. It is black, so if it's super sunny, it might get a bit warm. And on the shoulder straps here, again, there's a bit of padding. These are a little bit more structured than the back panel, and they have that same aeration, which I dig. Something to note about the shoulder straps is up here especially, they're really wide. I mean, you can see in my hand there, they're just super wide. And when I put it on in a moment, you'll kind of notice that it's just a bit big, especially if you have a smaller frame. You can really feel them between your shoulder and your neck. And it's not really uncomfortable, but you can definitely feel it. But we've got a shoulder or a sternum strap, I should say, here. So it is on a rail, so you can make micro adjustments. And I've noticed that it stays put once it's once you find a place that you want it to be. So that's nice that it's not sliding around, and you can kind of leave it in one place, for as long as you want. We've got a little D-ring up here to attach gear, another little loop here for attaching gear. And then on the bottom, we have these little buckles, so you can unstrap these to kind of get them out of the way, but it's not super helpful because there's nowhere to stow the straps. So as you can see now that's on my back, it has a pretty big footprint for a 23-liter backpack, but it also is pretty thin. And that's kind of what I've come to expect from NITECORE as far as their backpacks. They're kind of a bit bigger for what you'd expect for the literage, but they're thin, so they kind of look neat and they're comfortable. But as I'm wearing it now, I'm not sure how well you can see it, but I'm just over 6 foot, And the shoulder straps are just a bit wide even for me. Like especially when I'm walking around and doing things, I can just feel them. And as I said, it's not uncomfortable, but it's just really kind of noticeable. Something else I do dig though is we have these strap keepers that keep the strap out of the way so they're not like flailing around. As someone who likes to ride their bike a lot, I did go on a couple bike rides with this. It's winter here right now. And when you're riding your bike and you just have those things flailing around, it's really annoying. So these strap keepers are nice, but once you do tighten it to a certain point, you run out of space for the strap keeper to kind of like run away. And you have a little bit of extra strap. Not the end of the world, but it keeps things organized. So for a pretty small backpack, this thing actually has 4 pockets or compartments. 3 of them I would consider secondary compartments. So we'll jump into those now. This first one here is obviously the most evident on the pack because of its diagonal look. I really like how this looks. I think it adds a lot to the front of the pack. Otherwise, this would just kind of be like a boring looking space. And it is a pretty useful space as well. I don't have anything in here right now because I forgot the book that I was going to stow in here at home. But it's a flat pocket. Obviously, there's not a ton of depth here, but it's a pretty big pocket. I can see my hand goes all the way up to here, so it goes all the way up to the end of this hook and loop fastener there. And then it goes all the way down to the bottom, just to the top of this hook and loop fastener here. So it's a good place for like a notebook or a book, or if you had some like travel documents in like a folder or something, you could stow those in here. It's also large enough to stow. I had a toiletry pack in here, so I had like all my small toiletry pack inside of here, so you could fit that there. Just a nice, because it's quick access, like while you're wearing it, you can put it on your shoulder and have pretty good access to this. But again, it's really only good for flat or smaller items. Even the toiletry pouch, when I had this fully packed out, was a little bit thick for it, and you could see it through the pack. So you definitely have to like work with what you have inside of the bag, but overall very happy with the inclusion of this pocket, and I think it looks pretty neat. But moving to the top here, we have a quick access pocket. This is where I typically would stow my phone and my wallet. So I'll pull my phone out real quick. So I have an iPhone 11 and it fit in there with no issue. But the biggest thing for me in this pocket is it does have this soft material here. So it's good for, sunglasses or your phone. You know that it's not going to, scuff up something sensitive that you put inside of there. It's got it on both sides, and it takes up this whole kind of lid area here. So you could put your phone, wallet, and maybe even some sunglasses in there at the same time. So that's a nice inclusion, and again, you can access it really easily. Just put the bag on your shoulder, unzip it, grab what you need, and then go. And both of those, as I mentioned earlier, have those water-resistant zipper tracks, so whatever you put in there has that little bit of extra protection. So now moving on to the largest of the secondary compartments. So the way to access this is you open this lid here with the hook and loop fastener. You get quite a bit of coverage there, so it's pretty secure, and you can also, if you have more gear inside the bag, it looks silly right now because there isn't, but you've got, room to grow a little bit. Then we have zippers on either side here, but I don't say obviously, but my favorite way to open it is just to kind of rip it like that. But then it is a bit slower to close this compartment, so you kind of just gotta like zip it up and then close it. But when you go to open it, you can do it pretty quickly and you're inside. But once we get inside here, it's kind of like I don't want to say it's an admin panel, but a lot of organization going on in here. In the back here, I've just got this little air kit that I use as my tech kit with my chargers and cables and stuff, and that slides nicely in this back pocket here. The pocket is the whole back wall pretty much, and almost all the way up to the top, so you can fit quite a bit inside there, and it's got some depth too, as you can see. This isn't the fattest thing in the world, but it fit in there, no issue. And then below that, we've got, I don't even really know what to call these, but there's 4 pockets here, so it looks like there's just 2, but the way it works is there's a pocket on this side, and then there's a pocket on this side that goes underneath it. So my hands aren't touching right now. There's a piece of material in between there. So you have a slide pocket on top of a slide pocket, and you have that up here as well. So neither of these connect, and you can't go all the way through either. So they're a little bit odd, and I found it hard to know what to do with them because it's like a sideways pocket, and depending on what you put in there, it's just a little bit awkward in use. But I did enjoy, it worked well to stuff like larger cables in there. That worked pretty well, and they do have a soft material here, so if you were to put an electronic on top of there, not a big deal. It should keep it safe. Not a ton of padding, but at least scratch-wise. And then up here, we just have this mesh pocket with a zippered compartment, so you can lock down things you don't want floating around in the rest of the area there. So moving into the main compartment now, this is where most of your larger gear is going to fit. So it's a clamshell opening. This zipper goes almost all the way around the pack, at least 3 sides of the rectangle. So we'll flop this open now. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of room to work with and some organization. One of my hairs just sitting there bothering me. So on this top lid here, we do have another mesh compartment like in the admin area that I went over just a second ago. And it's nice, I kept a book in here. I went on a 4-day trip this weekend and just wanted to have a book with me. So this is a nice place to put a larger paperback book. But again, you could put things here that you don't want getting lost in this main compartment. It's not the biggest compartment in the world, but again, if you have small stuff, it's nicer to have it locked down than floating around. Or if you have something like a book that could easily get, scuffed up easily. I mean, that book isn't, like a really pristine book, but I'd rather have it here and not moving around a ton than just kind of loose in the main compartment here and just jostling up next to stuff. Stumbling over my words there, sorry. But I've got just a large nomadic compressible packing cube in there right now. This is all the clothes that I took on my trip this weekend, and it fits in there nicely, and I had room to spare, so I also had another organizer here that, again, I just forgot a few things at home today. So below that, we have the laptop compartment. So this is a 15-inch MacBook, fits in there with room to spare. You could, I think a 16-inch, no worries, and if you have a fatter laptop, you might be able to fit that in there as well. So I'll slide that out. But that secures with this little strap here and a hook and loop fastener. To be honest, that doesn't really do all that much because there isn't anywhere for the laptop to go. Like when the backpack's closed, it wouldn't be able to get out anyways. But I do like that. It's just like a little bit of peace of mind, especially for someone who gets anxious about things like that, like me. And then we have another liner pocket below that, and then 2 mesh pockets. So my main use for these pockets were I put it's actually still in here. I like to take this with me when I go places. It's just a cheap mouse pad, but that was in there, and I also had my keyboard inside here. And then I put my mouse inside here, and then I had just a few other odds and ends in these organizer pockets. So it's nice to be able to, lock things down. It's not as locked down as this zippered compartment over here, but everything can kind of have a home, and then you can just place your larger items, askew wherever you want inside this main compartment. So something to note is that there aren't any water bottle pockets on the exterior of this pack, as you may have noticed, but we do have these interior pockets here. I don't know that they're necessarily for a water bottle, but if you're someone who doesn't like to leave home without a water bottle like me, it's nice to have. They don't fit like huge bottles. It is elastic, but you only have so much space to fit in there. So you're probably, a 12 ounce to an 18 ounce maybe, but like my 32 ounce Nalgene did not fit inside there. I think maybe if I really, really tried, it might have, but I didn't want to stretch it out or damage the material, especially because I was using this backpack for a trip. I didn't want to ruin it for the rest of the trip. But there is quite a bit of organization in here, and I think it's very thoughtfully used. But sometimes I didn't know that I always had a use for these 2 liner pockets. When I had my keyboard, it was nice to slide it in there, but I could have also just put it in the laptop compartment. And I felt similarly about the organization here. It's just sometimes I didn't really know how to use it. So I'm interested to see how you guys would use this, or if you have this backpack, what you would use it for, because there is quite a bit of organization, but at the same time, I'm not sure how much of it is super useful, especially in a travel sense or like a weekend trip sense, because this is, a 23-liter backpack. You're not going to take it one bag traveling. Maybe you are. If you are, I'd love to hear about that as well. So overall, I've been very happy using this backpack, and in general, just happy to use NITECORE backpacks in general lately. This is my second one that I've tested, and I'm looking forward to testing more in the future. So there you have it, the NITECORE BP23. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel. We'll see you in the next one.